Okay, found my water syringe. Just want to do it this way so that, again, I can be in control. Measure the amount of water I'm going to be putting in each one. Don't want to put too much. So the water in the white's going to get the most, of course, because it's the largest volume. We don't want to do too much anyway. You don't want to do too much at once. Okay. It's basically looking like honey. I would say it's basically about honey, maybe a thin honey. I think that's good. Okay, put this guy down. So now I'm just going to add water real quickly to the other colors. Make sure that we all have the same chemistry going on. Not 100% same ratios, but at least we all have the same ingredients. So, much smaller amounts in these guys. Okay. And re-stir every one of them. Lots of stirring as a pour artist. Pour, that's funny. Pour paint artist. Oh, this blue's really thick. Okay. This blue just might be thick. Neon green. The first one I stirred was neon blue, and it doesn't really look very neon. That's not that neon. Sometimes the pouring medium does change the hue of the paint to begin with. Sometimes you can get it back by doing resin at the end on the top of your finished painting. It'll bring back a lot of pizzazz and color, but that's extra materials, extra steps. And you have to get used to resining. It's not the same as painting. Okay. So I think what we're going to do is I'm going to put down an okay layer of white, not real thick, not real perfect. And then I'm going to put some colored dots, maybe some lines and some dots. Just different color on top of each other. The most important thing is that we get lots of different colors layered on top of each other. So we're just going to make like this kindergarten looking mess. Lots of colors on top of each other. And then we're going to put some white towards one side, probably down here. And then with that white, we're going to take that plastic piece and we're going to smear the entire painting this way. We're going to drag all those colors over each other, make multi-layers all at once. And then the silicone oil and the different densities of the paint will make them settle at different levels. You know, it's like when you pick up a V8 at the grocery store. Before you shake it and get all that crud at the bottom. We're actually looking to make the crud on purpose here. Okay, last one, the red. These are all pretty thick. We'll see what results we get. Should be colorful if nothing else. And it's not all about cells. Okay, see, one stir stick did what? Basically 16 stirs with one stick. There was a time in the beginning when I would have definitely gone through, you know, eight popsicle sticks. Okay, now this is the magic potion. This is the silicone oil. I've made this silicone oil out of combining two different silicone oils. I have one that's fairly thick, fairly viscous, combined with one that's really not at all. So we're going to put this in the white. And let's do like every third color, just because again, I always do too much. So, you know, why stop now? Okay. Gonna need a palette knife. Alright. So let's get this down. Water. Okay, and I need this area here clear, because when I swipe, I'm going to go this way. And when I swipe, I drag it down, and then I try to clean as much off of the paint onto my silicone mats here. That's why these are all down, so that when the paint dries, I can just peel it right off, and then I keep that to make jewelry. Okay, so Mod Podge is dried. Don't have anything odd on the surface. That's going to take the paint off. Okay, so we're going to get a nice layer of white first. Just going to spread it out. Doesn't have to be beautiful, but even is a good thing. Oops. Just some more paint. You can definitely see the silicone oil in the white. I don't know if you can see the dimples that are showing up in just the white paint by itself. So hopefully that's a good sign. That's what we need. Basically, cells are just dimples with color, filling them in. Okay, I'm not going to do super crazy thick at the edges yet. When we swipe, we're going to move a lot of paint around, add to some consistency there. I don't know if that's the truth, but that's my wishful thinking. We'll go to the edges at least, because a lot of times you don't make it to the edge. And then you get stuck having to do something dumb to fill it in. Okay. Okay. Silicone oil is certainly doing its job. Okay. That's good. Now I need to make dots, and I need to make them pretty quickly because this paint is going to dry. It's going to thicken up. I'm just going to make random dots. Okay, draw lines in between some of them. Just because that happened and now I have to deal with it. And that's how painting is. Okay, next. So this time I'm going to make some dots of green by themselves, just like the blue. then I'm also going to purposely put some of the green dots inside of the blue dots as we're layering colors. Okay. Just doing this very fast. Doesn't have to be this fast. Sometimes I take my time. Sometimes I just want to throw something and see what I can get in the moment. Layers, layers. They have to be huge layers, or huge amounts. Okay. It's great. There are no rules. This might work, it might not work. Whatever. It's gonna make a mess. Just need stuff to overlap. Overlapping colors will give us cells. Okay. Very similar colors here. Maybe this wasn't a good idea. It makes me kind of nervous. Here, on the wood. This is an interesting panel. Like rain on a rooftop. Okay, layers. Don't forget the layer. Now, sure I'm doing something wrong here, because I know a lot of colors you should not be layering. So you'll end up with brown. So we'll see. We'll see what the hell happens here. Oops. Too much paint there. Seems like the orange I'm being much more liberal and making a splatter. This is not a lot of paint. There might not be a whole lot of cells or a whole lot of interestingness going on inside the paint. We'll see. Just kind of visualizing too how I'm going to scrape it and hoping that we don't need to put much down here because all this paint's going to get pushed down this way. So with that in mind, I guess we should make sure we have a good amount of paint up here to remain. Layer. Okay. Right now I don't like this painting at all. Like the way that it looks right now, I don't like this, but I think I will like it when it's done. Cool. I'm going to go back, just keep doing this until I'm done with all my paint. I want all of the colors, the small colors, on the board. I didn't pour enough to keep them, so we'll use them, clean them out. Okay. Make sure we don't have any circles, any dots that are just one color. A little bit up top. Okay. It's really smelling like acrylic in here. Usually when I use the fire gun, I don't know what they call it, the torch. Where's my torch? Over here. Just like for cooking. Actually, this one is for cooking. So I'll use this to pop bubbles, but the fumes get to be a bit much. So a lot of times I'll wear a respirator or a mask while I do that. I'm in a small room here, and I don't need to, cause problems for myself. Just kind of making sure that I have at least some paint and some pigment almost everywhere. It really looks like a mess. It's not going to turn out like a mess, I hope. Very likely we'll end up swiping one direction, going down, and then might have to come back up. I typically do a double swipe, where I swipe one direction and then the other back up. Oh, that was way too much. Alright, yeah, that's just how it is. Life happens, huh? Okay, so I have these huge orange blobs now in the center. I'm not sure how to counteract that. Go with the cobalt blue and hope for the best. I have a lot of paint here now too, so like there's a lot of pooling going on. Don't want too deep of layers, because then when you swipe or do whatever you're going to do to make the shapes, it's just too deep and you don't get to the bottom of the paint, so you don't really scrape everything around that you need to move around. Okay, that's all good. Let's see here. Don't want this to look like a Denver Bronco piece. So what we can do to kind of mute that orange a bit. This is all the same. Thought we were going to do more dots. Now it ends up with lots of lines. Well, again, life just kind of sometimes goes its way. Some things you're in control of, some things you're not, right? Okay. So I'm almost of the mind to maybe do the swipe now. We can always add more paint, we can always swipe again. Okay, let's try it. What the heck? I'm gonna torture it real quick. So get your cells going on. Also gets rid of air bubbles. It's the main purpose, really. Air bubbles. Okay. Alright, so now we have our plastic here. It covers the entire piece, so I'm just going to be able to do it in one quick swipe. Not quick, but one motion. I'm going to put some more white paint up here. It's going to kind of help me gloss over what's going on. Start the schmear. Okay. Alright, nice and slow. Make sure it's adhere all the way across before we go. Alright. We are swiping. Okay. That was uneventful. That's good. Sometimes that goes really poorly. Okay. Clean this. So we're going to have to do it again. Most likely. Alright, cool. So I don't know if you can see what's happening on the painting here. So our oil is working. The cells are definitely coming up. Right now the painting is a whole lot wider than I want it, but those cells still have a lot to do. Okay. It's easy if you're not falling over, right? Okay. Cool. So those cells are doing some interesting things. Let's see what else we can help them do. Heat will really promote more dots coming up, bringing more oil to the top. When oil comes up, it brings the paint with it. Okay, so after torching it, now it basically looks completely different. Lots of little cells. Lots of cool colors. You can see a lot of the different colors inside of each of the cells. Here's a good one. Cool. Okay, so good start. I have stuff happening. And that's good. Okay. So what's next? Do we want to do anything else? It's always a tough question. Is it done? Do I do more? It's really cool. I actually like it a lot now. And it's great. As time goes on, it just keeps doing its own thing. I have some impact into what happens. You know, the heat and whatnot, but for the most part, it's going to do what it wants to do. If I see sections of white here, where I don't really want white, I'd like to see if I can promote more colors to come up. Just fire real quick and wait a second. I don't know if you can see how quickly that's coming up. I'll bring you over there. Great. Okay, like this corner here. It's kind of bland, so let's see if we can bring some more cells to the top. Don't want to overdo it. You want to wait every once in a while, see what's going on. If it gets too hot, you can boil the paint. It'll blister, it'll pop up, and it'll basically burn like plastic. Surprise, surprise. Cool. So many colors, so many cells now. This is kind of neat. I'm liking this one. Let's see what we can get in between here. Can you see how that is just growing? Those cells there that I just created. I'm going to put some right here. Just watch how quickly they grow. Very cool stuff. This corner didn't really do anything. The paint's really thick. Probably wasn't any other color pigments over there either. Not much for me to bring up in the first place. Alright, we're going to chill with the fire for just a second. It's easy to overdo it. And although this doesn't really have a whole lot of composition, it definitely does have a lot of interest, right? Pretty cool colors. Very nice cells. You can see where I was just firing. They've really kind of grown and filled most of those areas. Yeah, good stuff. Okay, so I'm actually quite happy. I'm actually quite happy with this painting. I haven't gotten good cells in like 3 or 4 paintings, and so this is almost a relief. Like I said, it's almost like being a quarterback on a team. I want to do well. I want really nice cells. I want good results. And if you get some paintings where they don't turn out the way you like, sometimes you start beating yourself up, or oh, maybe it was a fluke that I got a nice one. I'm just gonna use my poker here. This is actually a tool for clay, but this thing, I love this thing. I use it for everything. So I'm just going to go around my edges, and I'm just going to try to get as much paint off the sides as I can. The paint on the sides will act like a weight, and so if this were connected, this paint would then be pulling down, and it would actually pull the surface down, along with it. And if this drip were allowed to continue, it could suck a whole bunch of this cool design off of the side, where you could never, where you lose it, you never see it again. I've had some paintings that I was very, very happy about, and I left the room for too long, and when I came back, the painting was very different. So I'm just gonna take as much paint off so I don't have anything promoting loss. I like what I have here. I don't want to lose it. I don't want it sliding off any of my sides. So I think what we're gonna do is hand paint the sides of this one after it's dry. The way I did this, it's very irregular on the sides, so I don't know if that's going to turn out nice or not. Let's see here. This is nice. Have almost no drips. Normally you have to 10 drips for the first hour after you pour. And I used so little white on the top that I don't have any overpour. Nothing's going over the sides. Great. Oh, I think I'm chopping off Mod Podge there. Mod Podge. Okay. So, clean the poker. All right. Cool. So this thing is really cool. I'm actually really liking this. It's going to keep doing its thing for hours and hours. I'm going to leave it to dry overnight. When we check it in the morning, quite likely it's going to look, mostly the same, but the details are going to be quite different. The white might be gone completely, or the white might get sucked up in between all the colors. You see all these borders? Sometimes those borders will expand. It kind of just depends how it dries. So might end up in the morning with whitewash and a little bit of color, or the white might be completely gone. Who knows? So we'll check it out. Time to package up these paints and my pouring medium so I can use those in other projects. All right, we'll check it in the morning.